I stared at the phone in my hand, sleek, black, definitely not mine. The screen lit up with another message, "Missing you already, baby." My stomach twisted as I scrolled through dozens of similar texts. Each one a dagger to my gut. "I'm Gracie, and 5 minutes ago, I was just doing laundry. Checking pockets before tossing David's jacket in the wash, a habit from when Eli was little and would stuff rocks and half-eaten candies in his coat. Now my 6-year-old knows better than his father. Mommy, can we have pizza tonight?" Eli's voice floated down from upstairs, innocent and clear. My fingers tightened around the phone. "Sure, sweetie. Just give me a minute." Amazing how steady my voice sounded while my world cracked apart. The messages went back months. Pictures, too, nothing explicit, thank God, but enough to tell the story. Dinner dates. Stolen kisses. Weekend getaways when David said he was at business conferences. Her name was Rachel. She had a dimple in her right cheek and wore too much mascara. "Is Daddy coming home for dinner?" Eli appeared at the bottom of the stairs, clutching his favorite dinosaur. I shoved the phone into my pocket. "Not tonight, baby. He's working late." Another lie to add to the pile David had been building. He's always working late now. Eli's lower lip trembled slightly. "Come here." I pulled him close, breathing in the scent of apple shampoo and fruit snacks. "How about we make that pizza ourselves? With extra cheese?" His face brightened. "Can I put pepperoni in the shape of a T-Rex?" "Absolutely." I forced a smile, already calculating my next move. The phone in my pocket felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. While Eli arranged his prehistoric pepperoni masterpiece, I sent myself screenshots of every damning conversation. My hand shook, but I managed to reset the phone to factory settings before slipping it back into David's jacket pocket. He wouldn't know I'd seen it. Not yet. "Look, Mommy. It's roaring." Eli pointed proudly at his creation. "That's amazing, sweetie." I ruffled his hair, remembering how David used to do the same thing. How many other habits and gestures had he shared with her? The front door opened at 7:30. David's footsteps in the hallway, his briefcase hitting the floor with a thud. I'd heard this sound thousands of times before, but tonight it made my skin crawl. "Something smells good." He appeared in the kitchen doorway, all perfect smile and loosened tie. "We made pizza." Eli launched himself at his father. "Look, it's a T-Rex." "Wow, buddy, that's incredible." David scooped him up, and for a moment, I saw the man I married, the one who used to spend hours building blanket forts and reading bedtime stories. What happened to him? How was work? I asked, my voice honey-sweet with poison. "Busy. That merger's killing me." He didn't meet my eyes, already setting Eli down and heading for the stairs. "I need a shower." I watched him go, thinking about the message from Rachel timestamped 2 hours ago. Lunch was perfect. Can't wait until next time. The pizza tasted like cardboard in my mouth, but I smiled through dinner, laughed at Eli's jokes, and pretended everything was normal. Later, after tucking Eli in, I sat in the dark of his room, watching his chest rise and fall. "Gracie?" David's whisper, from the doorway. "Coming to bed?" I turned to look at him, this stranger wearing my husband's face. "In a minute." He nodded and disappeared, probably already reaching for his secret phone to message her goodnight. I stayed there, in the dark, planning. David thought he was so clever with his hidden phone and careful lies. He had no idea what was coming. Because while he'd been busy destroying our family, he'd forgotten one crucial thing: I'd always been smarter than him. The coffee shop buzzed with weekend crowds, but Samantha's voice cut through the noise like a knife. "You need to nail the bastard to the wall." I traced the rim of my untouched latte, the screenshots from David's phone burning a hole in my pocket. It's not that simple. There's Eli to think about. Exactly why you can't let David get away with this. Samantha leaned forward, her eyes fierce. What kind of example does it set if? My phone lit up with David's message, taking Eli to the zoo today. Don't wait up. He's doing it again, I said, showing her the screen. Making plans without asking, probably meeting her there. The zoo? Samantha's eyebrows shot up. Isn't that where you had your first date? The memory hit like a punch to the gut. David, younger and earnest, buying me cotton candy and telling terrible jokes about the penguins. Now he was probably doing the same routine with Rachel, recycling our history like used furniture. I'm going, I announced, grabbing my purse. I need to see for myself. Gracie, wait, but I was already heading for the door. The zoo parking lot was packed. I spotted David's car easily, the silver BMW he'd insisted on buying last year, another warning sign I'd missed. I parked far enough away and waited. 20 minutes later, they emerged. David held Eli's hand, and Rachel walked on his other side, her fingers brushing against his arm. They looked like a perfect little family, and bile rose in my throat. Look, Daddy. Eli pointed at something, bouncing with excitement. Rachel laughed, touching David's shoulder with casual intimacy. My phone buzzed. Samantha, don't do anything crazy. Think of Eli. I watched them disappear into the crowd, my hands shaking as I typed a response. Too late. That evening, David brought home a tired but happy Eli, who clutched a stuffed penguin. Mommy, we saw lions. And penguins. Anne. That's wonderful, sweetie. I kissed his forehead, breathing in the scent of sugar and excitement. Why don't you go get ready for bath time? David lingered in the kitchen, loosening his tie. He had a great time today. I'm sure he did. I kept my voice neutral, loading dishes into the dishwasher. The zoo's always been special, hasn't it? He paused, something flickering across his face. What do you mean? Nothing. I smiled, all teeth. Just remembering our first date there. The cotton candy, the penguin jokes. You still tell those? The color drained from his face. Gracie. Daddy. Eli called from upstairs. Can you read me a story? David hesitated, looking between me and the stairs. We should talk. Should we? Seems like you've been doing plenty of talking with someone else. I turned away, my hand steady as I wiped the counter. Better not keep Eli waiting. He's had such a special day with his daddy. Later, after Eli was asleep, David found me in the living room. About today. Save it. I stood up, gathering the scattered toys. I have a meeting with my lawyer tomorrow. Lawyer? His voice cracked. Why would you? To discuss my options. I met his eyes. Unless you'd like to tell me about Rachel now? He stumbled backward, like I'd struck him. How did you? Does it matter? I moved past him, toward the stairs. By the way, you should be more careful with your phones. Both of them. Wait, please, he grabbed my arm. We can work this out. For Eli's sake. I jerked away. Don't you dare use our son as a shield. Not after parading your girlfriend around him at the zoo. She's not, it's not what you think. No? I pulled out my phone, showing him the screenshots. Then explain these. Actually, don't bother. Save it for the lawyer. I left him standing there, mouth open, excuses dying on his lips. Upstairs, I checked on Eli, his new penguin clutched tight against his chest. The sight of it made my heart ache, but it also strengthened my resolve. David thought he could rewrite our history, replace me in our family's story. But he'd forgotten something crucial. I wasn't just a character he could write out. I was the author of my own revenge, and his chapter was about to end. The restaurant's warm lighting couldn't soften Rachel's sharp features as she stirred her untouched coffee. I don't understand. Who did you say you were again? Gracie Thompson. My voice stayed steady, despite the rage bubbling beneath my skin. David's wife. The color drained from her face. Wife. But he said, she stopped, her perfectly manicured fingers trembling around her cup. Let me guess. He told you we were separated? Getting divorced? I pulled out my phone, sliding it across the table. Here's Eli's birthday party from 2 months ago. Notice how happy Daddy looks, blowing out the candles with our son? Rachel stared at the photo, her mascara-heavy lashes blinking rapidly. He said Eli was his nephew. That hit harder than I expected. David hadn't just erased me, he'd denied his own son. Interesting. Was that before or after he took you to the zoo? To our spot? I need to go. She grabbed her purse, but I caught her wrist. Sit down, Rachel. We're not finished. She sank back into her chair, mascara smudging as tears formed. I didn't know. You have to believe me. Oh, I believe you. I released her wrist. David's good at lying. To everyone. My phone buzzed, David's face appearing on screen. I showed it to Rachel. Want to answer it? She shook her head, wiping her eyes. How long have you known? Long enough to gather evidence. Bank statements, hotel receipts, photos. I leaned forward. Tell me, does your company know you've been sleeping with a board member? Her eyes widened. You wouldn't. Try me. The coffee between us had gone cold, like the space where my heart used to be. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to end it. Today. And then you're going to write down everything, dates, places, conversations. Every lie he told you, every promise he made. Why would I help you? Because if you don't, the board gets an anonymous tip about your relationship. Your career versus his marriage seems like an easy choice. Rachel's lips trembled. He said he loved me. He said that to me too, right before he took our son to the zoo with his girlfriend. I stood up, dropping cash on the table. You have until tomorrow. And Rachel? He has a tell when he's lying, that little smile, right before he feeds you the perfect line you want to hear. Watch for it next time. Outside, my phone buzzed again. David's message, where are you? We need to talk. I typed back, yes, we do. Bring your other phone. The drive home felt surreal, like I was watching someone else navigate through traffic. David's car was already in the driveway when I arrived. Through the window, I could see him pacing in the kitchen. My phone lit up one last time, Rachel, I'll tell you everything. I walked into my house, our house, where family photos still hung on the walls like artifacts from another life. David spun around, his face pale. Where were you? He demanded. Having coffee with Rachel. I watched the blood drain from his face. She says hello. He stumbled back against the counter. Gracie, please. Save it. I pulled out a manila envelope. Inside are divorce papers, a custody agreement, and copies of everything I have on you and Rachel. Sign them all, and this stays private. Fight me, and everyone finds out, your parents, your boss, everyone. You're blackmailing me? No, David. I'm giving you what you wanted, freedom to be with Rachel. Oh wait, I checked my phone, showing him Rachel's message, maybe not anymore. He lunged for the phone, but I stepped back. Don't. You've taken enough from me. What about Eli? His voice cracked. He needs his father. You should have thought about that before you made him your fictional nephew. I headed for the stairs, leaving the envelope on the counter. You have until tomorrow to sign. After that, I stopped being nice. Gracie, he called after me. I'm sorry. I paused on the stairs, not turning around. No, you're sorry you got caught. But don't worry, I'm just getting started. Linda's hands trembled as she set down her teacup. I found these in Paul's study. She slid a stack of papers across the kitchen table. David's been planning this for months. Bank statements. Investment accounts. Property deeds. All carefully hidden, all moved into offshore accounts. My stomach lurched as I saw the dates. The first transfer was made the day after Eli's birthday party. There's more, Linda whispered, glancing toward the doorway as if Paul might appear. He's been interviewing for positions in Chicago. The room tilted sideways. Chicago? Paul overheard him on the phone. He's already accepted an offer. Linda reached for my hand. He can't take Eli, Gracie. I won't let him. I pulled away, pacing the sunlit kitchen where I'd spent countless holidays with this family. Why are you showing me this? Because I failed my own daughter 30 years ago. Linda's voice cracked. I watched Paul destroy her in their divorce, take everything, including my grandchildren. I won't watch it happen again. A car door slammed outside, Paul's distinctive heavy footsteps on the porch. Linda snatched the papers, stuffing them into my bag. Thursday nights, he plays bridge. The safe combination is Eli's birthday. Paul burst in, his presence filling the room. Well, if it isn't my favorite daughter-in-law. Finally come to talk some sense into that boy of mine? I forced a smile, shouldering my bag. Just catching up with Linda. Good, good. He kissed Linda's cheek, but I caught her slight flinch. David tells me you're being difficult about the divorce. Think of Eli. I am thinking of Eli. My voice could have frozen hell. Every second of every day. Back home, I spread the papers across my desk, piecing together David's plan. The bastard had been methodically hiding money since before Rachel, preparing his escape route while playing the devoted father. My phone buzzed. David, taking Eli to dinner. Don't wait up. My fingers flew across the keyboard. No. Excuse me? You heard me. No more spontaneous dinners. No more surprise trips. You want to see your son? Go through my lawyer. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, you can't do this. Watch me. I called Samantha, my voice steady, despite the rage burning through my veins. I need your help. Bring your camera. That night, while David was working late, we followed him to an upscale realtor's office. Through the window, I watched him shake hands with a woman in a power suit, accepting a folder labeled Chicago Properties. Got it? I asked Samantha, who nodded, reviewing the photos on her camera. Every sleazy second. She squeezed my arm. What's your play? I thought of Linda's haunted eyes, of Paul's casual dominance, of all the carefully hidden papers. I'm going nuclear. The next morning, I walked into David's office building, straight past security, my heels clicking against marble floors. His secretary's eyes widened as I approached. Mrs. Thompson. Mr. Thompson is in a meeting. I pushed open his office door. David sat with 3 board members, mid-presentation. Honey. His fake smile appeared. This isn't a good time. Actually, it's perfect. I dropped a thick folder on the conference table. Since everyone's here, we can discuss your plans for Chicago. And these offshore accounts. Oh, and let's not forget Rachel from marketing. The blood drained from his face as the board members reached for the documents. Gracie, please. I particularly enjoyed the part where you planned to take our son across state lines without my knowledge. I turned to the shocked executives. Gentlemen, you'll find copies of everything in there, including proof of funds misappropriation. I've already sent duplicates to the SEC. This is a private matter, David sputtered. Not anymore. I headed for the door, pausing to look back at the wreckage of his career. By the way, Linda says hello. Funny how karma works, isn't it? In the elevator, my phone lit up with messages from David, each more desperate than the last. I deleted them all, thinking of Linda's words, I won't watch it happen again. Neither would I. The emergency room's fluorescent lights cast a sickly glow over Eli's pale face. His small hand burned with fever in mine as the doctor rattled off terms like severe pneumonia and immediate treatment. Where's your husband? The nurse's innocent question felt like acid in my throat. He's coming. Another lie to add to the growing pile. David's phone went straight to voicemail, all 5 times I'd called. Samantha arrived first, bringing coffee and a change of clothes. Any word from him? I showed her my phone, a text from Rachel sent an hour ago, having dinner with David. He seems stressed. Everything okay? I'll kill him, Samantha whispered, watching Eli's chest rise and fall with each labored breath. Not if I get to him first. The night crawled by. Eli's fever spiked at midnight, bringing a flurry of medical staff and more medication. Through it all, David's absence echoed like a scream in an empty room. At 3 a.m., my phone lit up, David's face appearing on screen. Where are you? Just got your messages. Mount Sinai Hospital. Emergency room. My voice could have frozen hell. Your son's been here for 8 hours with pneumonia. Silence. Then, I was in a meeting. At Lou Bernardine? With Rachel? I watched Eli's oxygen levels on the monitor. Hope the wine was worth it. That's not fair. Room 412. Show up or don't. Either way, you've made your choice. He arrived 30 minutes later, still wearing his dinner suit, reeking of expensive wine. How is he? Now you care? I stood between him and Eli's bed. Where were you when he couldn't breathe? When they had to hold him down for the 4? I made a mistake. No, a mistake is forgetting to pick up milk. This? I gestured to our sick child. This is who you are now. Eli stirred, his eyes fluttering open. Daddy? David moved toward the bed, but I grabbed his arm. If you go to him now, smelling like her perfume, we're done. No lawyers, no negotiations. I'll burn everything down, your career, your reputation, everything. He stepped back, pain flashing across his face. You can't keep me from my son. Watch me. I turned away, focusing on Eli. Go back to sleep, sweetie. Daddy was just leaving. The door clicked shut behind him. Eli's monitor beeped steadily as tears slid down his fevered cheeks. Why doesn't Daddy want to stay? My heart shattered into a million pieces. Sometimes grown-ups make bad choices, baby. But I promise, I'm not going anywhere. Morning brought Linda, carrying fresh clothes and righteous anger. Paul's furious. He's threatening to cut David off completely. Good. I watched Eli sleep, his breathing finally easier. Did you know they were at Lou Bernardine last night? While Eli was here? Linda's face hardened. That restaurant was where Paul proposed to me. David's recycling all our family memories with her. My phone buzzed. David again, we need to talk. About everything. Yes, I typed back, we do. I hope she was worth losing your son over. Linda squeezed my hand. What will you do now? I thought about the offshore accounts, the Chicago plans, the missed calls while our son struggled to breathe. Everything you wished you'd done 30 years ago. He'll fight back, she warned. Let him. I stroked Eli's hair, feeling his fever finally breaking. He chose his battlefield when he left our son alone in this hospital. The morning sun crept through the window, painting Eli's face in gold. In the quiet, watching him breathe, I realized something. Revenge wasn't about hurting David anymore. It was about protecting what he'd thrown away, this precious life he'd deemed less important than a dinner date. My phone lit up one last time. Rachel, David told me about Eli. I'm so sorry. I never meant. I deleted the message without reading further. Sorry wouldn't erase Eli's tears or heal his fever. Sorry wouldn't undo David's choices. But justice might. The conference room at David's law firm felt like a tomb. 8 pairs of eyes watched me set up my laptop, including David's, bloodshot and desperate. Rachel sat at the far end, mascara smeared from crying. Perfect. Mrs. Thompson, the managing partner, cleared his throat. You claim to have evidence of financial misconduct? I clicked through the first slides, bank transfers, property documents, all bearing David's signature. My husband has been systematically hiding assets for months, preparing to flee the state with our son. David's chair scraped against hardwood. That's not. Sit down. Paul's voice cracked like a whip. He'd insisted on attending, despite David's protests. Let her finish. The next slide showed text messages, hotel receipts, restaurant bills. Rachel's soft sobbing provided the perfect soundtrack to David's downfall. While embezzling company funds, I continued, he was also carrying on an affair with Rachel Miller from marketing. Using company resources to finance their relationship. You vindictive bitch, David snarled, mask finally slipping. You think this makes you noble? Destroying everything just to hurt me? I met his eyes. No, what makes me noble is that I waited until Eli was released from the hospital before doing this. Something about basic human decency you wouldn't understand. The managing partner raised his hand. These offshore accounts were set up the day after our son's birthday party. I played the final card. The same day David accepted a position with your Chicago competitors. I have those emails too. The room erupted. Partners shouting, Rachel fleeing in tears, Paul's face purple with rage. Through it all, David stared at me, something dangerous flickering in his eyes. You've ruined everything, he whispered. No, you did that yourself. Security arrived to escort David out. I packed my laptop, hands steady, despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. Victory tasted like ashes. The parking garage was dark when I left. My footsteps echoed between concrete pillars, keys clutched like weapons. Feel better now? David emerged from behind a column, tie loose, eyes wild. Proud of yourself? Stay back. I reached for my phone. Or what? You'll destroy me again? He laughed, harsh and broken. There's nothing left to take. There's Eli. Wrong thing to say. David lunged forward, grabbing my arm. You won't keep my son from me. Let go. I twisted away, but his fingers dug deeper. I gave you everything. His voice echoed off concrete walls. The house, the lifestyle, all of it. And this is how you repay me? You gave me lies. I wrenched free, stumbling backward. You gave me betrayal and empty promises, while planning your escape. I loved you. He swung wildly, fist connecting with the pillar beside my head. No, I whispered, you loved yourself. Security cameras caught everything, his rage, my fear, the moment he nearly crossed a line he couldn't uncross. Tomorrow, those videos would reach the judge handling our custody case. Another nail in David's coffin. But tonight, sitting in my car with shaking hands, victory felt hollow. Eli's voice echoed in my head, why doesn't Daddy want to stay? My phone lit up, Linda, Paul's disowning him. It's done. Then Rachel, I'm so sorry. You were right about everything. Finally, Samantha, Eli's asking for his father. I stared at the messages through blurring tears. I'd won, destroyed David's career, exposed his lies, secured Eli's future. So why did it feel like I'd lost something too? The garage's shadows stretched like prison bars across my windshield. Somewhere above, David was probably clearing out his office, his carefully constructed life crumbling around him. Just like I'd planned. But revenge, I was learning, was like a double-edged sword. In cutting him down, I'd drawn my own blood too. And somewhere in this wreckage, our 6-year-old son still waited for his father to come home. I started the car, hands steady now. One last text arrived, David, you'll regret this. Maybe. But I'd regret letting him hurt Eli more. Sometimes victory tastes like ashes, but ashes make fertile ground for new beginnings. Paul's study felt smaller than I remembered, the leather and mahogany closing in like a trap. David sat across from his father's desk, shoulders slumped, while Paul paced behind him. You're not just a disappointment, Paul's voice cut through the silence. You're a disgrace to this family. I hadn't planned to be here for this, but Linda had insisted. He needs to see what he's lost, she'd whispered, squeezing my hand. I can explain, David started. Explain what? Paul slammed a folder onto the desk. How you embezzled from your firm? Betrayed your wife? Abandoned your sick child? Each accusation landed like a physical blow. David's fingers twitched toward the crystal decanter on the side table, another inherited habit, another weakness exposed. Or explain how you planned to steal your son away to Chicago. I added quietly. Using money from your father's trust fund? David's head snapped up. You told them about that too? No, son. Paul's laugh was bitter. Your mother found the paperwork months ago. We've been watching you destroy yourself ever since. Linda stepped forward from her corner. We thought you'd come to your senses. Choose your family. Like you did, Mom? David's voice dripped venom. Standing in the corner while Dad runs everything? Is that what family means? Don't you dare, Paul growled, but Linda raised her hand. No, let him speak. Her voice was steel wrapped in silk. Let him explain why he's following your example, Paul. The affairs, the secrets, the controlling everything through money. The room froze. Paul's face went from red to white. Linda. The difference is, she continued, I stayed silent to protect our children. Gracie spoke up to protect hers. David laughed, harsh and hollow. Protect him? She's destroying his life. No, I stepped closer, forcing him to meet my eyes. You did that when you chose Rachel over his hospital bed. When you planned to tear him away from everything he knows. I love my son. You love yourself more. He lunged forward, but Paul caught his arm. Enough. Let him go, I said quietly. Let him show Eli exactly who his father is. David wrenched free, breathing hard. You've taken everything. My job, my reputation. Your offshore accounts? Paul interrupted. The trust fund? Yes, those are gone too. As of this morning, everything's been transferred to an education trust for Eli. The color drained from David's face. You can't. I can and I did. Paul sat heavily behind his desk. It's what your grandfather would have wanted. Family money for family values. Then I'll fight it, David snarled. All of it. The divorce, custody, everything. With what? Linda's voice was almost gentle. Your firm's partners are cooperating with the SEC. Rachel's given a full statement. Even your Chicago position's been withdrawn. I watched the reality sink in, watched David's carefully constructed world crumble, completely. In that moment, he looked startlingly like the man I'd married, lost, vulnerable, human. I never meant, he whispered. I know. And suddenly, I did. You never meant for any of this. Just like you never meant to miss Eli's hospital stay, or hurt me, or become your father. Paul flinched. Linda reached for his hand. But you did. I moved toward the door. And now you have to live with it. Gracie, please, David's voice cracked. I'll lose everything. No, I turned back one last time. You'll lose what you took for granted. There's a difference. Outside, the setting sun painted the sky in shades of ending. My phone buzzed. Samantha, Eli's asking when you'll be home. Home. Not the house we'd shared with David, but the small apartment where Eli and I were building something new. Something honest. It's done, I texted back. On my way. Behind me, I could hear David's muffled sobs through the study door, mixed with Paul's stern voice and Linda's softer tones. The sound should have felt like victory. Instead, it felt like closure. Like turning the final page of a story that had run its course. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying someone else. Sometimes it's about saving yourself. The moving boxes made our new apartment feel smaller, but Eli's laughter filled every corner as he arranged his dinosaurs on the windowsill. Each plastic figure faced east, toward the sunrise, he insisted, just like real dinosaurs would have done. My phone buzzed with a text from David, please. Just 5 minutes with him. I deleted it without responding, just like the dozens before it. The divorce papers lay signed on my desk, next to a letter from Linda that had arrived that morning. I hadn't opened it yet, wasn't sure I wanted to. Mommy, look. Eli held up his favorite T-Rex. He's protecting the little ones now. Just like you protect me, I said, pulling him close. He squirmed in my arms, suddenly serious. Is Daddy ever coming back? The question I'd been dreading. No, sweetie. But that doesn't mean he doesn't love you. I know. Eli returned to his dinosaurs. He's like the meteors in my book. Too big and scary for the little dinosaurs to survive. My heart cracked at his simple wisdom. 6 years old, and he understood more than David ever had. The doorbell rang, Samantha with pizza and paint samples. Time to make this place yours, she announced, spreading colors across the kitchen counter. Green. Eli pointed to a sage swatch. Like the park near Grandma Linda's. Linda's letter seemed to pulse on my desk. I finally opened it while Eli debated paint colors with Samantha. Dearest Gracie. Paul doesn't know I'm writing this. He's still trying to fix David, as if our son were a broken investment to be restructured. But you and I know better. I spent 30 years watching Paul become the man David tried to be, successful, powerful, empty. I stayed because I thought it would protect my children. You left because you knew it would protect yours. You're braver than I ever was. The trust fund Paul set up for Eli isn't charity, it's insurance. Insurance that David can never use money to control him the way Paul controlled our family. Use it wisely. And Gracie? Thank you for showing me it's never too late to stand up. With love. Linda. Mommy? Eli's voice pulled me back. Can we paint my room today? Sure, baby. I wiped my eyes, tucking the letter away. But first, there's something I need to show you. I pulled out the photo album I'd rescued from our old house. Not the formal portraits David had insisted on, but the real moments, Eli's first steps, beach trips, pillow forts. Pages of love and laughter, untainted by what came after. This is our story, I told him, watching his fingers trace each image. And we're going to keep making it, just us. And Aunt Samantha? And Aunt Samantha, I laughed. And Grandma Linda, whenever you want. But not the meteors, he said firmly, returning to his dinosaur metaphor. No, not the meteors. My phone lit up one last time, Rachel, he's in rehab. Wanted you to know. I set the phone aside, focusing instead on Eli's careful arrangement of paint swatches into a rainbow. Some stories don't need neat endings. Some revenge isn't about destruction, but reconstruction. Building something stronger from the wreckage. Ready to paint? Samantha held up rollers like swords. Eli grabbed one, immediately dotting my nose with green. His giggle echoed off bare walls, filling empty spaces with possibility. This wasn't the ending I'd imagined when I'd first found David's hidden phone. It was better. Because revenge hadn't given me back what I'd lost, it had given me something new. A chance to write our own story, without shadows or secrets. Just a mother, a son, and a future as bright as dinosaurs facing the sunrise.